And coming from a background where you spoke briefly about, you experienced bullying, you experienced a lot of rejection. And I also remember briefly your story from being a part of your morning club, the 5 a.m. club that you ran, a manifestation club. You shared your story of how you always were bullied in the college, etc. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your challenges before you actually jumped into, becoming this online manifestation queen?
Awesome. Thank you for that. So I mentioned this a lot in my webinars. I was born and I'm still very hypersensitive to a lot of things, to sound, to, generally I was one of the jumpy kids who was always, so an easier way to say this is I was hypersensitive, but I also felt like an alien from the time I was born. I didn't fit in anywhere. So not only in college, I was being bullied through school. I was very bad in academics, very bad. But that was also, and I saw myself as stupid and dumb. This is pretty much who I thought I was. I was a remedial student, which means, those kids who had to stay back after school or during the break to do more math sums with the teacher instead. I was bullied through by teachers as well. I was hit out. One of my math teachers, she threw a wooden duster eraser on me, and I was bleeding. And she looked down at me because I was South Indian. She was North Indian. The South Indian, North Indian thing used to happen even then. And so I was getting bullied by teachers, by students, and general Indian home environment was also not as, I'm not saying my parents are amazing people, but at that time, growing up, doing so badly in academics, everything was like, I was being rejected at all levels. So there was no place where I felt happy just being me.
Yeah.
So because of my badness in academics, I was being made fun of in school. They would look at my spelling of revision and they'd show my book to everyone, say, see how she spelled revision. At the bus stop, they would make fun of me. So it kind of went on like that till about 6th grade, when they decided to take it to the next level, where they took me out onto the floor of the right outside the barracks. I was in army school. We used to study in barracks, really in barracks.
Wow.
And they threw me on the ground and they shoved mud in my mouth and started hitting my stomach. I used to wear glasses. They took my glasses. They took my ponytail. They hid my bag. I missed the bus, So experiences like that. And it happened like that many times. Even in college, when I would walk, they would throw stones at my feet. They would, always that whispering here, there, she's come. If I went into the class, they were talking about me, and I could tell that they were talking about me. They would just turn around like very, very cold towards me. And I was just sharing this in a video I made. Even my choir teacher in university used to call me weird girl. Weird girl, come here. It was like that. So rejection in terms of who I was because how bad I was in academics. Also how weird my interests were. I was always interested in some form of spirituality, metaphysics, things that not normal people are interested in at that age. And so people saw me, and what people don't understand, they tend to hate. And what they hate, they tend to want to push down. So that was kind of my story with rejection. And music, another whole universe of rejection. I was rejected from one group for being better than the actual lead vocalist of that group. So it's not just rejection because you're bad, it's rejection because you're good. And that's another level of rejection that happened. So this was self-created that I now know, but at the time it was pretty terrible.
Wow, wow, wow. I don't know if this is something you reflect back and you're grateful for, because if all of this didn't happen, you wouldn't probably be here. But
Yeah.
I completely get in the moment, of that feeling of, always being bullied. But at what point, Kartika, did you actually just, absorb all of this rejection and believe that this was true, that you were a weird child? You said, I was odd, and you felt, like this was normal for people to feel because I had my weird interest. So there must have been a point where you had no opinion about you, but there must have been a time where you then decided that whatever people are saying about me is
It's
completely
true.
true. So
Yeah, I felt so what people are saying about me is true, but I used to look at it as a bad thing. I'm still that weird kid. I still have the same interests. The only thing is I celebrate that now, and that's why I built this community of people who are interested in the same thing. The only difference was that I was seen weird was bad, now weird is celebrated. That's the only difference. But I did believe it was a bad thing for a long, long time. Even when I was building this company, I had a lot of that bullying being reflected back to me through certain people that we were attracted into the academy. And so this is not something that went away overnight. The rejection feeling and the feeling of not being good enough carried with me even while I was building this brand. So it took a while to break out of that and understand it's okay to be sensitive, it's okay to be tiny. Another reason I was bullied was because of my physical form. And the universe kind of chose that. Is I was chosen to be born this way, to go through all of this so that I would learn the higher lessons and then teach those. So I think it's a brilliant thing that happened. I wouldn't change a thing.
So, what was the most important question here for the listeners is we all know rejection, how it looks like, could be different in different people's life. But what was it? What was the changing turning point in your life where you thought, okay, enough now, I need to do something? How did you deal with that rejection, which was continuously being thrown at you, and you decided not to take it anymore? And whatever, however that felt in your world, what
Yeah.
was that turnaround period?
So I think I've had levels of these, not just like one day I decided. I think it's been cumulatively that I've decided. But there was a point in my life, and I mentioned this in my webinars, is I knew that there was talent, and I knew that I could help people, but I was getting in my own way and constantly being rejected. So one point I said, okay, I'm working really hard. I'm putting out content. I'm making courses. I'm doing all of this, but nobody is coming. Everybody is just, doesn't want to take me seriously. So then I recognized that the world is a mirror, that my childhood bullying and my experiences is what caused these, firstly, not only the thoughts that appear in my head, but also the experiences that I was constantly manifesting over and over again. So I realized that no amount of hard work is going to make up for my lack of inner alignment, because until I did my healing, the world was not going to stop rejecting me magically. I had to figure it out myself. So that's what brought me into the journey of really aligning my energy, law of attraction plus mindfulness, figure out the healing aspect, because the bullying and all of these things cumulatively manifested as an anxiety disorder, panic disorder, which comes with depression. So they're like brother and sister with panic disorder. So when the amount of emotional stress I was holding in my body came to a point where it manifested as a disorder, I had no other choice. After 3.5 years of suffering through that, I had to heal. I was back against the wall. And when I started healing, I understood I had to actually go back all the way to the bullying part and start healing that in order to heal the brain that had become so overly anxious, because I was always worried about people rejecting me. I was always worried about who's going to hit me first, who's going to hit me next. And so the mind became such an anxious mind that it manifested into a disorder. Had to go back. So it was not that I decided in a moment, I had no other choice but to start doing my healing and change myself in order to change what I was reflecting back.
Absolutely. This is such an important message here, is that, for rejection to either change or to stop, you need to change something inside of you, not the people outside of you who are rejecting you. And I think many of us do the opposite, keep chasing and, saying, if I change this environment, if I leave this partner, if I leave this business partner, if I leave my parents, or if I leave this school, for example, I will probably be in a better place. But the key to rejection, and the key message, from whatever I've heard from you, is you are reflecting it out because of your past experiences. So clean your inner world and you can reflect something better outside, which is so powerful. And I really hope that the listeners can actually get this message and at least try and get closer to this reality